Hi there, I'm the Mythkeeper. Welcome back to my channel, the best place on the internet for Pathfinder lore and history. If you like this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe. And if there's anything you'd like to know about in particular, let me know in the comments below. Now, we're finally at the end of my Tian Xia region deep dive series. This video means that I will have covered every single region, every single named country that exists in Tian Xia. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Nagajor. I'm also going to be talking about the greater Valashmai, and I'm going to be talking about the only significant country in the Valashmai Jungle, which is called Valash Raj. Once again, although these are all kind of jungle environments, each one is different and unique. There's something special to be found in each one, and I hope you enjoy the video. Welcome to my final Tian Xia region deep dive, covering the lower third of Tian Xia, which is almost entirely covered in thick tropical rainforest. This region is dominated by three kingdoms: Nagajor, which is the homeland of the Nagaji people, the Valashmai Jungle, a wild, untamed land filled with giant monsters, and Valash Raj, the only significant nation-state outside of Nagajor to exist within the greater Valashmai. These nations and lands have been more reclusive than other parts of Tian Xia, so, as I did with my Central Mountains video, I'm dispensing with a typical regional history section entirely, and going right into a look at these three specific regions. Nagajor, the Forbidden Kingdom. Nagajor is a land shrouded in mystery, steeped in ancient traditions, and shaped by its unique history and geography. Situated in the heart of Tian Xia, Nagajor is home to the Naga and their humanoid descendants, the Nagaji, who have lived in these jungles since before recorded history. The land itself is a labyrinth of mangrove forests, wetlands, and winding rivers, with trade routes that are as fluid and ever-changing as the currents that define them. Despite its relative obscurity on the global stage compared to other more affluent nations, Nagajor has long maintained an unbroken and unique governance system, ruled by a matriarchy of Naga whose traditions trace back almost 6,000 years. The country's diversity, both politically and culturally, is bound by a rich tapestry of religious practices and age-old customs. Nagajor's early history is a tale of isolation and survival. While the Naga and Nagaji were briefly driven into the Darklands during the Earthfall, they have never ventured far beyond the jungles of Nagajor, nor have they been conquered by any other empire. The kingdom's rich spiritual and cultural heritage is anchored by the belief that their land was chosen by the goddess Nalinivati, who brought the Naga here from Vudra to cultivate them, and later created the Nagaji to populate the land and defend it. Relations with humanity were initially hostile, with a bloody conflict with the Empire of Yixing long ago. However, the eventual signing of the Ivory Accord between the Naga and the Yixing Empire brought about a long period of peace. This agreement ended internal warfare between the Naga kingdoms themselves. Thereafter in Nagajor, the position of the First Mother was established as the supreme authority across the Naga kingdoms, a position that remains to this day. The landscape of Nagajor is as wild and unpredictable as its political landscape. Vast stretches of the land are covered in dense wetlands and mangrove forests, with great banyan trees dominating the upper reaches of the jungle. These towering trees, some over 300 meters tall, create a forest canopy so dense that it casts perpetual shadows on the jungle floor, making travel through the land both challenging and visually awe-inspiring. The cities of Nagajor are often built above the ground, with tree houses forming intricate, three-dimensional networks that reflect the complex relationships and shifting borders between its many kingdoms. While the urban areas may seem chaotic, constantly rebuilding and adapting to the relentless forces of nature, they are also a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of the people who call Nagajor their home. Life in Nagajor is governed by the cycles of nature, with the monsoon season being the most important and transformative. During this time, the landscape is drenched by torrential rains that flood the wetlands and rivers, reshaping the geography and influencing the rhythm of daily life. Trade and travel routes are often submerged, and communities must rely on the wisdom of the temple priests to navigate the floodwaters. In contrast, the summer season is a time of life and celebration, marked by weddings and coming-of-age ceremonies, while the third and final cool season is a time for reflection and spiritual rituals. These seasons not only dictate the physical rhythm of life, but also shape the spiritual and social dynamics of Nagajor, with each kingdom and its people adapting to the ever-changing environment. This is a nation also defined by its unique rulers. The Naga themselves are formidable, with their powerful magic enabling them to shape rivers and manipulate ecosystems. They are nearly ageless, and weave intricate political webs that span generations. For humans, Nagaji, and other mortal races living here, to cross one of them is to risk the wrath of the goddess and the entire sacred land of Nagajor, making the Naga both revered and feared in equal measure. The culture of Nagajor. Nagajor's culture is as intricate as its geography, shaped by centuries of tradition, isolation, and the complex interplay of its diverse inhabitants. The society is structured around a strict hierarchy that divides its people into 4 broad groups, each with their own place and role in the empire's ever-shifting social order. At the top are the Naga, the revered rulers, and the spiritual leaders of Nagajor. Followed by them are the Nagaji, the backbone of the empire's military and civil administration. Beneath them are the Blessed Children, long-time residents who were granted early entry into Nagajor before the Ivory Accord, and, finally, the New Children, immigrants who arrived much later and tend to occupy the fringes of society. The Naga, a powerful magical race, hold supreme authority in Nagajor. They are the sacred leaders, often found at the heart of temples or coiling upon mountaintops, overseeing the spiritual and political landscape of the land. Despite their immense power, the Naga are generally pacifists. Their motivations are a subject of much debate among scholars. Regardless, the Naga are integral to the fabric of Nagajor's governance. Without them, no new kingdom can form, and no existing kingdom can secede. While their political influence is vast, they rarely conflict with each other, instead resolving disputes through diplomacy or even subtle manipulation, leaving the day-to-day struggles of governance to those below them. Nagaji, who are technically a hybrid people of human and Naga, form the empire's administrative and military backbone. Their society is organized into a caste system. These castes are elective, with each child choosing their caste and undergoing rigorous training to join it, with a coming-of-age ceremony which tests both their physical and spiritual strength, at which point they adopt their new role. The 4 primary Nagaji castes are the Eyes. This caste includes teachers, scholars, and priests. Their role is to provide wisdom and guidance, using their insights to direct the actions of the other castes. In the rare absence of a Naga leader, the Eyes act as the de facto rulers. The Scales. Comprising artisans, architects, and artificers, this caste is responsible for creating and maintaining the infrastructure of Nagajor. Whether building cities or supplying the military, the Scales ensures the kingdom's growth and development. The Fangs. The military and policing caste, the Fangs are responsible for maintaining order and defending Nagajor. They are the most visible and authoritative caste to outsiders and are often referred to as temple guardians. The Tail. Originally the agricultural and labor caste, the Tail caste is now actually in decline, as competition has increased and the Blessed Children and New Children have taken many of their old tasks. The Tail has lost some of its original purpose, and now caste members perform miscellaneous odd jobs and other lesser roles within the society. A Nagaji's appearance often reflects their status, with waterproofed silks and elaborate jewelry marking their caste and rank. Though many choose to stay within their designated roles, it is not uncommon for particularly ambitious or exceptional individuals to become prismatics, joining multiple castes throughout their lives. The rite of seeking, a tradition where individuals relinquish their family lineage and responsibilities, is a well-worn path for those who leave Nagajor in search of a different life, with many adventurers taking this route. Meanwhile, the Blessed Children, a group of non-Naga races that have lived in Nagajor for thousands of years, occupy a unique position within the overall society. These include Tengu, Kitsune, Amaruns, and other races who were once refugees or oppressed by humanity's expansions. Over the centuries, these people have assimilated into Nagajor's culture, gaining positions of religious and cultural significance. The Blessed Children wear light, practical clothing suited for Nagajor's rainy climate, with waterproof silks being common. Unlike the Nagaji, they do not adorn themselves with intricate jewelry, as this is generally reserved for those more closely tied to the temple guardians. The Tengu in particular have become a dominant presence in Nagajor, outnumbering all other non-Naga races and becoming integral to the kingdom's daily life and functioning. Finally, there are the New Children, the more recent arrivals to Nagajor, who come from a variety of backgrounds, including humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, and halflings. The New Children have found a niche for themselves as mercenaries, adventurers, and bodyguards, particularly in the defense of Nagajor against the clockwork legions that pour out of the clicking caverns with regularity. Their diversity in appearance and style reflects their varied origins, and while they have not fully integrated into Nagajor's highly regulated fashion norms, they are prized for their versatility and skills in the more chaotic and dangerous aspects of life in Nagajor. In a society where tradition often ties the hands of its native people, the new children offer a valuable alternative, solving problems in ways that the entrenched systems of Nagajor have struggled to. The government of Nagajor. Nagajor's government, though steeped in tradition, is incredibly decentralized, with hundreds of transient kingdoms spread across the land. The Naga, though bound by the laws of the First Mother, and the temple orthodoxy, rule their territories with a mixture of authority and diplomacy. The empire is not an empire in the traditional sense, but rather a loose federation of kingdoms that have pledged allegiance to the central temple. The First Mother is a divine figure of immense power, and she remains the symbolic heart of the nation, though her influence is most felt during major religious events or in times of crisis. This unique system has few parallels in human culture, and is often referred to as the serpent's embrace or the countless coils. This syncretic system blends the worship of Nalanavati, the divine embodiment of order and transcendence, with a strict, divinely ordained hierarchy. The government emphasizes virtue and excellence, encouraging individuals to slough off their material desires and sins to seek spiritual transcendence, mirroring Nalanavati's shedding of her skin to form the world. The pervasive influence of this religion permeates every aspect of governance, though it is not technically a theocracy in the human concept of the word. At the top of this political structure stands First Mother Vasath Shethagri, an ancient and powerful Naga sorceress. While she is viewed by outsiders as the ruler of Nagajor, her role is really more that of first among equals, acting as the primary authority on foreign relations and diplomatic affairs. Vasath's leadership reflects the empire's reliance on the wisdom and guidance of the Naga, who are seen as spiritual and political stewards of the land. An important figure, emblematic of the typical regional rulers in Nagajor, is Black Pearl's Sing Silence, a Naga governor who controls the northernmost island of Vanarak. Under his rule, the island has prospered economically, largely due to his lenient policies towards privateering, which has effectively allowed piracy to flourish, as long as they commit their unlawful seizures outside Nagajor's borders. There are also some rumors circulating that Black Pearls is secretly funding a mercenary expedition to breach the Wall of Heaven, aiming to gain access to the legendary Twin Gates to Heaven and Hell, though his true motives remain unclear. The Nagajor Gazetteer, Camp Yama. 14 years ago, after the Nagaji hero Zethifaxus Jeed emerged from the Clicking Caverns, adventurers discovered a massive clockwork heart within a newly exposed section of the caves. This artifact had the uncanny ability to repel the Clicking Legions, rendering them unable to approach or acknowledge it. Since that time, both Nagajor and Zahoy have rushed to establish a secure forward base around the artifact. Camp Yama, a newly founded city, is highly artificial and confined by a strict 1-mile radius, unable to expand beyond that. The camp is administered by Captain Anandia, a serious and capable Nagaji commander, and the Nagajor Temple Guard, though occasionally the leadership shifts to generals sent from Zahoy's Dragon King. The camp's initial focus on speed and logistics often leaves diplomacy and clear command structures secondary, creating tension between the two factions. This friction is further amplified by the significant population of mercenaries and adventurers employed by the First Mother to explore the depths of the Clicking Caverns. Thusladis, a border city in Nagajor that has marked the gradual shift in the kingdom's openness to outside influence. Historically isolated and devoted to its own ancient traditions, the city is now beginning to embrace the cultural exchange brought by increased trade with the rest of Tian Xia. The port is bustling with activity as merchants from far-flung corners of the continent arrive, adjusting to the schedules of foreign traders rather than the local rhythms of Nagajor. This slow but steady integration into the broader cultural and economic landscape of Tian Xia signifies a new chapter for the once sleepy Serpent Kingdoms, where the blending of old traditions and new influences is starting to reshape the entire country's identity. Vanarak. Vanarak is one of Nagajor's newest and most unusual cities, established on the northernmost island off the western coast. Originally a barren bluff with no significant resources, the town saw a brief gold rush after a kaiju washed ashore. Since then, the town has thrived, built around the colossal remains of the dead beast. Vanarak is more than just a mining town. Its vast and unexplored kaiju carcass holds secrets that attract wizards and academics from all over. Zom Kulan. Known as the de facto capital of Nagajor, from the perspective of foreign interests, Zom Kulan is home to the First Mother and serves as the center of diplomatic dealings with other nations. The city is built into the side of an active volcano, a feature that both symbolizes the region's power and serves as a constant reminder of the ever-present danger. Diplomatic business is kept swift, as the threat of volcanic eruption looms large. The city is built into the side of an active volcano, a feature that both symbolizes the region's power and also serves as a constant reminder of the ever-present dangers of the jungle. However, the First Mother and her attendants claim to protect the city with powerful enchantments and rituals that pacify this volcano. For those who venture into the city, Zom Kulan is a breathtaking sight, with towering temples and winding lava flows. The city is adorned with intricate reliefs and magical glyphs, reflecting the rich magical heritage of its citizens. The residents take great pride in their city's porous basalt, often wearing jewelry and charms crafted from the black rock as a symbol of their connection to the land. Zom Kulan has also proved to be a place of growing influence for the Pathfinder society in Tian Xia. A decade ago, a team of agents ventured into the darklands beneath Nagajor, evacuating the Isoki inhabitants of a cavern known as the Broken Ticker, before a cave collapse almost wiped them out. While the ratfolk of the Broken Ticker were saved, the evacuation came at the cost of the ratfolk settlement, which was left in ruins. Concerned about maintaining stability in the region, Amara Li, the leader of the Lantern Lodge of Tian Xia in Goka, helped establish a new Pathfinder Lodge in Zom Kulan. To oversee operations and monitor the resettlement efforts, she appointed seasoned Nagaji Pathfinder Keld Si Rung as its venture captain. The Isoki, in the meantime, have started creating a new tunnel city for themselves here, called the New Ticker. Some of these details are further described in my Southern Successor States region deep dive, as these Isoki have built deep ties with the Isoki of the Round Mountain in Po Li. The Valashmai Jungle, a vast and foreboding rainforest that occupies the southernmost corner of Tian Xia. The Valashmai is a land teeming with dangers and filled with ancient secrets. The jungle's geography is as unforgiving as it is awe-inspiring, dominated by the jagged Chenlun Mountains, which are still volcanically active, and the smaller but equally perilous Sudisan Peaks. These towering mountains create a labyrinth of harsh terrain, while swamps and dense, suffocating foliage further complicate any attempts to navigate its depths. Although technically the jungle goes all the way from the borders of the Wandering Isles of Minata to the east and connects with the Naga Kingdom of Nagajor in the west, my video here divides the eastern and western halves of the jungle, because the eastern half has the region's only significant advanced culture, the Kingdom of Valash Raj, which I'll cover in the upcoming section. In reality, the jungle and its dangerous inhabitants know no real borders. The jungle's history is rich despite its seemingly impenetrable hostility. During the Age of Serpents, it was the heart of the Munsahir Empire, led by the fabled Jade Hegemon, described in additional detail in my Tian Xia overview guide. The survivors of this empire retreated into the heart of the Chenlun Mountains, where some continue to reside to this day. In their place rose the Valashai, a reptilian people who enslaved countless beings from other planes and worlds. The jungle continued to change with the arrival of Agamazar, an otherworldly being whose epic duel with the kaiju King Mugaru has left scars on the land that endure to this day. Even now, the Valashmai Jungle is home to countless dangers, both natural and supernatural. The jungle's deep swamps and towering trees shelter a menagerie of deadly creatures, from colossal kaiju and rogue dragons, to moo spores and dangerous plant life. Creatures that would terrify any adventurer, such as hungry dinosaurs and monstrous vermin, roam freely through its underbrush. The jungle is also populated by various tribes of Tripkeys, Iruxi, Venaras, and the ever-elusive Liashtaki catfolk, as well as the only large non-Garundi population of Anadi to be found anywhere in Galarian. Among the most bizarre of its inhabitants are the Zikui, strange insectoid beings who traditionally hail from the ethereal plane. At the heart of the jungle's monstrous reputation lie the kaiju, titanic creatures that tower above all other forms of life. These kaiju are legends, both feared and revered, and their existence shapes the jungle's very identity. Some, like Mantraska, the World Talon, and Lord Varklops, the thrice-headed fiend, are embodiments of the jungle's wild power and terror, while others, such as Agamazar and Mogaru, the Final King, carry with them a dark legacy of destruction and rebirth. The kaiju are more than beasts. They are ancient forces that have shaped the jungle's landscape and its mythos, standing as living monuments to the region's power and mystery. The Valashmai Jungle remains a land of danger and wonder, a place where only the bravest or the most foolhardy dare venture. Those who survive its perils return with stories of mystical beasts, lost civilizations, and strange otherworldly forces, but few ever make it back to share their tales. For those who do, the jungle offers treasures beyond imagination, hidden in the depths of its swamps and the craters of its volcanoes. The famous kaiju of the Valashmai, Agamazar, the Star Titan. A kaiju with origins far beyond Galarian. In 2456, by the imperial calendar, it fell from the heavens, crashing into the uncharted expanse of the eastern Valashmai.
The size of a city and forged of rock and steel, it was not the result of a magical mishap or the meddling of the Algolthi this time, but a weapon from some distant alien world designed to annihilate kingdoms, though in fact it would be more honest to say that its true origins still remain unknown. Regardless, across Tian Xia, the fall was recorded as an astrological oddity, and its impact was so great that for a brief while it resulted in prolonged winters and ashfalls, reminiscent of the Age of Ashes, which were seen as a dire omen by the people of the time. Within the jungle, however, Agamazar the Star Titan awakened. He set about his grim task of raising the jungle and its people with its eyes that blazed with fire. But the impact of Agamazar the Star Titan also awakened Mogaru, another kaiju I'll be covering shortly. Mogaru discovered and slew the alien titan, burning Agamazar's heart from its gargantuan chest in a battle that obliterated life for miles around. Even its lifeless husk spread extraterrestrial toxins, an arcane coolant, into the ground, poisoning the water and inflicting an arcane plague upon those who ventured too close. The resting place of Agamazar the Star Titan is now revered by the people of the Valashmai as hallowed ground. Agamazar Raj, an entire city that will be covered in my Valash Raj section, has emerged to contain the threat of the Star Titan's grave. Unbeknownst to those poor souls that dwell in Agamazar Raj, death did not mean the end for Agamazar. When the Titan was a simple missile sent hurtling into the cosmos, alien undead entities tampered with it, building into it a failsafe that would cause the Star Titan to survive its own death through ancient alien necromantic magic. Now Agamazar waits, a colossal undead thing of cold and horror, waiting for the moment it will rise again to threaten the world. Mogaru the Final King. Mogaru, also known as King Mogaru or the Final King, is one of the most colossal and powerful kaiju to roam the Valashmai Jungle of southern Tian Xia. Standing 140 feet tall and weighing about 20,000 tons, this massive twin-tailed saurian beast dwarfs almost any living creature. With a length of nearly 300 feet from tail to nose, Mogaru is a true titan among his kin, feared for his sheer size and strength. While he is not considered particularly intelligent, Mogaru's territorial instincts are unmatched, and he will fiercely attack any kaiju that dares encroach upon his domain, often causing devastation across vast regions in the process. Despite the destruction he brings, Mogaru is viewed with a sense of respect by some of the jungle's inhabitants. Unlike many of his kaiju brethren, his destructive rampages are relatively rare, which has earned him the odd reputation of being one of the more honorable kaiju. Legends abound of how Mogaru can be calmed or even coaxed into action through extraordinary musical performances, suggesting there may be a deeper, unspoken connection between him and the world around him. After his various appearances, Mogaru tends to retreat to the depths of an unknown lake in the Valashmai Jungle, where he slumbers, occasionally surfacing again to assert his dominance. Mogaru may not be a solitary guardian for long, as lately beaches bordering the Valashmai Jungle have become littered with pieces of eggshells. One curious scholar went about trying to piece the shells together, and in the process realized that whatever came from these eggs must be the size of a bear. Regardless of what the future brings, Mogaru's reign as the king of the kaiju, though occasionally silent, is one of quiet power and immense territorial influence, making Mogaru a figure of both fear and awe in the jungle's dangerous ecosystem. Mantraska, the World Talon. This colossal kaiju resembles a giant raptor bird with a wingspan that stretches twice the distance of her height. She is covered entirely in vegetation, blending seamlessly with the forests she inhabits. When she hibernates, her breath is said to be the faint whisper or deep rumble heard deep within the forest. Explorers who unknowingly wander too close to her resting place often pass right beneath her massive wings, mistaking her for just another part of the forest. Her plumage so closely mimics plants that she could easily replace an entire woodland, with its inhabitants being none the wiser. Her body resembles a mountain draped in ferns, her legs and talons resembling massive tree trunks, and her wings, which act as the canopy, all contribute to her perfect camouflage. Mantraska sees herself as the guardian of her domain, fiercely protective of the forests she roams. She will attack any threat to her territory, especially those who bring fire or destruction. Unlike many other kaiju, Mantraska does not stay in one place, but migrates between the Forest of Spirits and the Valashmai Jungle every 250 years. Once she awakens from her long hibernation, she takes flight within a day, and before embarking on her journey, she carefully grooms herself, shedding old feathers. These feathers, light and incredibly soft, are highly sought after in luxury textile markets, though her devoted followers, known as the Raindrops of Forests, fiercely oppose the exploitation of her down. Mantraska's migrations also have other unintended consequences. Her movement between ecosystems have occasionally introduced invasive species to the forest she visits, altering the delicate balance of the region she inhabits, suggesting she is a magical creature that is both of the forest and apart from it. Lord Varklops, the thrice-headed fiend. One of the most fearsome kaiju known to the world, a towering fiery orange serpent who boasts 3 horned heads, draconic wings, and a long tail tipped with 4 jagged bony spikes. Varklops stretches 200 feet in length and weighs 16,000 tons. Unlike most kaiju who follow more instinctive territorial behaviors, Varklops is said to be driven by pure malice and a thirst for destruction, actively seeking out other kaiju to hunt and kill. His fiery form is a reflection of his relentless drive for annihilation, and he will not hesitate to raze entire cities when no kaiju are available to slay. Varklops resides in the heart of an active volcano in the Valashmai Jungle, where he revels in the chaos he brings to the region. He is fiercely territorial and sees the defeat of other kaiju as a personal challenge. Varklops has also attracted a peculiar following of apocalypse cultists and vengeful exiles, all drawn to his chaotic nature and his thirst for devastation. He is particularly fond of those who approach him with requests for targeted destruction, especially if the offer includes the promise of combat with other kaiju. This desire for conflict has made him a dangerous and unpredictable figure in the Valashmai, as he will fight at any provocation, even if it serves no higher purpose than satisfying his violent cravings. Of all the kaiju, Varklops holds a particular hatred for Mogaru, a rival who is impervious to Varklops' devastating attacks. This immunity has baffled many, but the animosity between the two is mutual, and their battles are legendary in kaiju lore. On several occasions, Mogaru has teamed up with other kaiju, such as Yarthun, to drive Varklops away. The destruction wrought during their conflicts is often enough to leave the entire regions in ruin. Yarthun the Moongrub, a unique and enigmatic kaiju, often considered the least powerful among her colossal kin. Yet despite her lower stature, she remains an imposing presence. She stretches 250 feet from head to tail and weighs in at 14,000 tons. Yarthun's appearance is a striking one. She is a pale blue worm-like creature with a many-toothed maw surrounded by a ring of glowing eyes. Her breath chills the air, exhaling a freezing mist that coats the land in frost whenever she moves. Though she might not match the sheer destructive power of other kaiju, her appearance is still enough to send tremors through any landscape she visits. Unlike the other kaiju discussed here, Yarthun's primary home is not the Valashmai Jungle, but on the frozen moon that orbits the planet. Nevertheless, when she does visit, it is frequently here in the Valashmai, where she frequently comes into conflict with the other kaiju. Her visits are unpredictable, often linked to specific events that capture her attention, though what exactly triggers these moments of fascination remains a mystery to scholars. Yarthun does not seem to actively seek out civilizations to destroy, but tends to cause chaos simply by her presence, leaving devastation in her wake before returning to her lunar lair after only a few days on the planet's surface. Yarthun's behavior and mysterious origins have fueled much speculation among kaiju scholars, some believing that Yarthun may not be a single entity, but a recurring manifestation, with a hidden creche on the moon harboring numerous eggs that hatch replacements as needed. Others speculate that she is a larval kaiju, destined to one day grow into something far more powerful. Despite these theories, what is known is that Yarthun has survived multiple defeats, always returning after seemingly being vanquished, further adding to her mythos as a persistent and unpredictable force of nature. Yarthun's interactions with other kaiju are notable, particularly with Mogaru, whom she frequently clashes with. Both kaiju are drawn to each other by the devastation caused by their presence, but neither seem particularly interested in finishing a fight. Instead, their battles often end with one retreating and the other claiming temporary victory. Interestingly, Yarthun shares a mutual disdain for Lord Varklops, the thrice-headed fiend, and she has teamed up with Mogaru on multiple occasions to drive him off, finding common ground in their shared enmity. While she may not have the raw destructive power of some of her kin, Yarthun's unique nature and ability to survive make her a fascinating and unpredictable entity among the kaiju of the Valashmai. The Valashmai Jungle Gazetteer. Kutaban. Kutaban is a bustling free city located along the northern border of the Valashmai Jungle, positioned on the southern riverbank of the great river that separates Nagajor from the Valashmai. The city is characterized by its sprawling, low-rise architecture, with buildings no taller than 2 stories. A long-dead kaiju's ribcage encircles the city, providing a natural ward against other kaiju. The city's vibrant river port is a hub for trade, connecting the Valashmai Peninsula with Nagajor and Zahoy. It serves as a vital base for adventurers who are looking to explore the jungle, and offers lodging, supplies, and guidance from experienced explorers. However, the Valashmai Jungle is treacherous, and many adventurers who set out from Kutaban never return, with rescue operations being rare and survival in the jungle considered unlikely. Kutaban is not only a gateway for adventurers, but also a crossroads for locals, especially young indigenous Valashmayans seeking their first taste of the outside world. The city's diverse population and its location as a trade hub fosters opportunities for trade and work, offering a sense of safety and acceptance for those in the jungle. The merchant lords of the city, who control the trade routes, leverage their wealth to exert political influence, secure military power, and vie for dominance. The city is ruled by Sujana Mahad, a crocodilian sovereign who maintains order among the feuding merchant lords and ensures that external threats to Kutaban's position are swiftly dealt with. Kashang. The ruined city of Kashang sits at the foot of the Chenlun Mountains, a once great religious center now haunted by the echoes of forgotten faiths. It was here that the alien Valashai worshipped strange alien gods brought from their distant homeland. When the slaves overthrew their Valashai masters, the city became a center of chaos as a myriad of cults fought for control of the temples. War and death soon followed. Today, Kashang is mostly silent, its vast temple complex abandoned, yet still watched over by otherworldly guardians, bound to protect the ancient eldritch knowledge contained within. Among the beings that still dwell here is the secretive tribe of mongrel folk led by Chief Chalim Malkta, and they dwell both among the wreckage of the city and in its labyrinthine underground caverns. The Swamp of the Dark Brood. The Swamp of the Dark Brood is a treacherous marshland teeming with violence and decay. Home to hundreds of warring tribes of territorial Iruxi, the swamp is a place of constant conflict where blood is shed daily. The lizardfolk tribes, especially the three largest, the black-tongued biters, the bloodstingers, and the thick-scales, wage war upon each other under the shadow of a far more deadly threat, the Zekuis. These alien monstrosities were once enslaved by the Valashai, but since the liberation long ago, seized control of the swamplands. The Zekui, led by their immortal broodmother Bojeva, the devourer goddess, continue to expand their numbers, creating a terrifying horde that threatens to spill out beyond the marshes. The Zekui's dark designs are unknown, but there are fears that they are preparing for a catastrophic invasion of the northern civilizations. Once a year, during the brood hunt, the Zekuis take their prey alive, using them to incubate their young in a horrific cycle of terror. The tribes of Iruxi at this point have no choice but to cease their fighting, uniting in a desperate attempt to survive the Zekui's brutal harvest. Thunderblood Peak. Thunderblood Peak, towering above the central Chenlun Range, is a land of constant seismic activity and violent volcanic eruptions. Once a Jade Hegemony stronghold, the peak was home to an observatory used to chart dimensional travel. However, the mountain was ultimately abandoned after the Valashai began to conquer the Munsahir lands. Today, the peak is home to a fire giant lord named Bokashi, who rules over the ruins with his tribe of fire giants. Bokashi controls the former city and its elemental forces, and he is rumored to have the power to summon the eldritch elemental beings that lie dormant beneath the mountain. The peak remains a dangerous place for explorers as they must contend with both the wrath of Bokashi and the volcanic threat that constantly looms over the region. In other parts of the Chenlun Range, the Munsahir are now gathering their strength, looking for an opportunity to reclaim their old holdings, including Thunderblood Peak. Goroyasa. Goroyasa is a desolate island shrouded in virulent fungal blight, covering everything in its path with mind-corrupting spores. The island was once home to a mighty civilization of giants whose utopian cities now lie buried beneath the layers of moss and fungal growth. Scholars speculate that the origin of the fungal plague is linked to a catastrophic botanical experiment gone wrong, or perhaps the fallout from a meteor impact that spread the cursed spores. According to some legends, the fall of the meteor was a deliberate act by the Valashai to rid themselves of the giants, the only civilization they viewed as capable of resisting their enslaving conquests. The fungal spores that dominate the island can control the minds of those who have come into contact with them, transforming them into monstrous vegapygmy-like spore slaves. Not surprisingly, given the nature of the island, servants of the demon lord Sith Visag have come to power here. Those unlucky enough to step onto the island are forced to contend with both the dangerous fungal infection as well as the vicious cultish creatures who now call Goroyasa their home. Valash Raj. The Valash Raj is the largest and most successful state to thrive within the deadly Valashmai Jungle. It was founded more than 200 years ago by the Rani of Rakarit, supported by a coalition of the various peoples that had been brought to the jungle by the intergalactic slavers known as the Valashai. Through her conquests and those of her descendants, the Valash Raj grew from its base in the jungle west of Kawak's Run, expanding both north to the Grey Gulf and south to the Sudasan Peaks. Despite the hostile environment, Valash Raj has prospered, creating a vast empire within the eastern Valashmai Jungle. The state is richly diverse in ancestry, with a predominance of lizard folk, but also a significant population of tripkeys and catfolk. The kingdom is relatively decentralized, with provinces built around cities or forts, and villages scattered throughout the jungle, each with its own strong regional identity. The geography of Valash Raj is varied and challenging, with the Sudasan Peaks to the south providing some protection from typhoons, but also housing dangerous predators and other ancient elemental horrors. The northern regions are marked by swampy wetlands and dense jungles, which are home to dinosaur populations and other various hazards. Despite its challenges, the terrain of Valash Raj also acts as a natural defense, preventing foreign powers from successfully invading, and thus making the kingdom's cities largely secure from outside threats. That said, life can be quite hard in Valash Raj. Hunters and soldiers tasked with culling monsters work by night, returning home with their catch before dawn. This ensures that while kaiju and dinosaurs do pose risks, most settlements live in relative safety, with incidents being rarer than outsiders might expect. Within the villages, their days begin well before sunrise, with last night's hunters arriving in towns and villages hours before the light of dawn. After this, they light cooking fires that illuminate the area. Travelers and caravans start to trickle in through the morning, with most arriving by mid-morning. In more prosperous urban areas, dawn is marked by morning prayers among various religious groups. After sunrise, specialist primal spellcasters called kaiju callers perform rituals to confirm that no kaiju are nearby, ensuring it's safe for laborers to begin their work. If a kaiju is spotted, alarms are sounded to warn everyone. Work continues until noon, after which many rest during the hottest part of the day, seeking shelter under tented canopies. Late afternoon sees the resumption of labor, often with communal prayers and a second round of kaiju checks. The late afternoon is a prime time for socializing, as manual laborers enjoy communal lunches with family, while sedentary workers dine out with co-workers. Valash Raj has also proclaimed itself the inheritor of the legacy of rule over the jungle, first established by the Valashai conquerors millennia ago. This pseudo-claim to the Valashai throne is often viewed by outsiders as ambitious, but it is not without merit. Many Valashai wards still allow the jungle's natives to pass it as if they were Valashai themselves, and the kingdom's arcanists and adventurers are working to recreate the ancient sorceries of the Valashai. While the Raj has not yet reached the grandeur of its predecessor, it is intent on achieving those heights. The culture of Valash Raj. Culture in the Raj is intricately tied to the legacy of the ancient Valashai Empire, which, despite its history of enslavement and excess, is seen by the people of the Raj as both a point of pride and a source of responsibility. Millennia have passed since the Valashai Empire's fall, and the Raj's ancestors, who admittedly were originally enslaved by the Valashai, have since taken up their name, and even adopted elements of their culture. Many now desire to restore the Empire's greatest achievements. This complex history is passed down through oral storytelling, where legends and ballads often revolve around the dangers of the world, the mighty kaiju, and the strength of ancient hunters. Religious practices in the Valash Raj are highly syncretic, blending beliefs from Nagajor, the Valashai Empire, and other regions. Many local religions venerate the kaiju, either as gods or intermediaries of the gods. Rituals often center on safety, such as seeking blessings before long journeys or hunts. Hunters hold an esteemed place in society, with many achieving wealth from the sale of monster parts and dangerous bounties. The rise of gunslingers in the Raj, though still rare, signifies the growing influence of wealth and status among the hunting elite. Traditional Valash Raj attire is casual and practical, with sarongs and lightweight shirts being quite popular, though formal religious attire often incorporates elements from the ancient Valashai environmental suits. Textiles such as batik, ikat, and tapis play a significant role in fashion. The cuisine leans towards spicy, with rice, sago, and fruits being common staples. Dinosaur meat, especially hadrosaur, is popular, often served in dishes like satay, accompanied by spicy peanut sauces, which are exported widely throughout Tian Xia. The government of Valash Raj. The Valash Raj operates as a stratified monarchy, ruled by the Valash Raja from Rakarit, the capital city. Local kings, rajas, and sultans hold authority over their respective territories, but they all pledge loyalty and pay taxes to the Raj. In return, the Raj provides protection from kaiju, dinosaurs, and other threats. While military protection and governance of the people are key functions of the Raj, the most vital role in maintaining order is played by the royal kaiju callers. These skilled individuals are responsible for managing and appeasing the kaiju, ensuring the safety of the regions from these massive, dangerous creatures. The Valash Raj is a decentralized state, with power resting in the hands of numerous local rulers who maintain strong regional identities. The monarchy faces constant challenges in keeping the loyalty of these rulers, especially in light of the diverse and far-flung nature of the empire. The Raja appoints advisors to help manage the sprawling territories, some of whom wield significant individual power, while others are simply political tools to appease local rulers. Court politics are filled with intrigue, as the Raja navigates a delicate balance between maintaining control and allowing provincial rulers their autonomy. Despite these tensions, the Raj remains a formidable force due to its strategic use of kaiju protection and military strength. Some key figures in the Valash Raj include Kasavara, the Valash Raja. Kasavara is the current ruler of the Valash Raj, a large Iruxi in his late middle years known for his ambition and a desire to cement his legacy. With yellow-black scales and sharp, immaculate claws, Kasavara seeks to stabilize and centralize the power of the Raj, focusing on formalizing relationships and gaining international recognition. Unlike his mother, who aggressively expanded the Raj, Kasavara's efforts are more focused on securing internal stability. His rule, while successful in protecting many provinces, is often seen as overbearing by local rulers who resist his growing control. To maintain his grip on power, Kasavara relies heavily on a network of trusted advisors and secret investigations, making him a ruler who operates from the shadows as much as from the throne. Raha Sultana of Lahuyasa. Raha Sultana is the middle-aged Tripki queen of Lahuyasa, known for her luxurious and indulgent lifestyle. Though she sometimes appears as a simple hedonist, she is a shrewd and effective ruler who has kept Lahuyasa prosperous and safe. Under her leadership, Lahuyasa has revived its trade ties with Minata and funded significant public works, restoring some of the city's former glory. Despite her success, Raha Sultana is a fierce opponent of Kasavara's centralizing reforms. She resists any policies that limit her city's autonomy and uses her wealth and cleverness to navigate around Rakarit's influence. While she is not outright rebellious, her actions often stretch the limits of her privileges to benefit both herself and her city. Jujuk, High Advisor to the Kaiju Callers. Jujuk is the head of the Royal Kaiju Callers, a position that grants him immense influence in the Raj. He is a master of ancient kaiju rituals and songs, responsible for ensuring the safety of the kingdom from these monstrous threats. Jujuk's deep knowledge of kaiju behavior and his ability to negotiate with these creatures make him one of the most powerful figures in the Raj. He has authority to command large groups of kaiju callers, deploying them across the kingdom whenever a kaiju sighting occurs. Though his role is primarily focused on kaiju management, his influence extends into political matters as well, as his support is vital to maintaining the Raj's security. The Valash Raj Gazetteer. Rakarit. Rakarit, the capital city of the Valash Raj, is a testament to the ingenuity of the Valashai Empire. Built upon the wreck of one of the ancient vessels that brought the Valashai to Galarian, Rakarit is a blend of ancient architecture and modern engineering. The city is protected by constant kaiju caller rituals and enchantments that shield it from the kaiju and other hostile elements of the region. Majestic stupas and minarets dominate the skyline, while the palace itself appears carved from a single massive piece of stone, adorned with intricate murals and magical lighting. Beneath the surface, the city boasts a complex network of infrastructure, repurposing Valashai technologies such as starship thrusters for heating and underground military pavilions that once housed thousands of passengers. Rakarit is the intellectual heart of the Valash Raj, with its colleges producing a steady stream of scholars, arcanists, and inventors. These scholars delve into the mysteries of the ancient Valashai ruins scattered throughout the Raj, with many adventurers from Rakarit venturing out into the wilderness to seek out new artifacts and knowledge. Kawak's Run. The vast Kawak's Run is a sprawling wetland that stretches through much of the central Valash Raj, known for its thick mangrove forests and a unique ecosystem dominated by the kaiju Kawak. This massive piscine creature, with the snout of a gharial and the sail and tail of a spinosaur, rules the region. Kawak's movements through the swamp leave behind a trail of destruction, and its spawn, ravenous juvenile spinosaurs, pose a constant threat to any large structure or boats in the area. However, Kawak rarely attack smaller vessels or humans, leading to a certain balance in the region where small single-person fishing boats can operate relatively without much danger. The run is also known for its isolation, with villages scattered throughout the wetlands. Due to the difficult terrain and the constant threat of Kawak's wrath, there is little centralized governance here, and bandits often find refuge in the area. Kawak himself is often seen by some as a natural force, ensuring the balance of the wetlands, while others worship it as a divine protector. The region also contains significant ruins from both the Jade Hegemony and the Valashai Empire. The island of Arung. Situated in the Grey Gulf, a vast toxic stretch of water that separates the Valash Raj from Zahoy, the island of Arung was the site of an extraordinary event 150 years ago, when the kaiju Mogaru appeared and swam to the island, unleashing destructive flames that ignited the ancient Valashai ruins there. The waters of the Gulf had always been unnaturally still and poisoned, rotting ships at an alarming rate, and despite centuries of attempts by druids and naturalists to cleanse the Gulf, it remained a hostile wasteland. Since Mogaru's destruction of the Valashai ruins, though, the waters have become slightly less toxic, with more fish returning and the hulls of ships lasting longer. These improvements, however, have resulted in a troubling surge of monstrous sea creatures, including mosasaurs, ichthyosaurs, and the formidable Kawak, who occasionally ventures out of the Gulf to feast on cargo ships. Since Mogaru's cleansing, the island of Arung has now also become a thriving Valash Raj settlement, with a port and small fishing villages, though the nearby ruins remain dangerous, filled with strange crystalline monsters and other hazards. The Star Titan's Grave, the final resting place of Agamazar, whose remains continue to poison the surrounding land with arcane toxins and a horrific plague that affects those who come too close. Agamazar Raj, the small kingdom founded centuries ago dedicated to guarding the site and containing the threat to the Star Titan's grave, endures to this day, despite the possibility, as discussed earlier, that Agamazar may arise as an undead beast. The current warden, Sayo Agar, has authorized more expeditions into the grave than any of his predecessors, hoping to learn more about the Star Titan and possibly find a way to neutralize it for good. However, the last group of adventurers he sent to the grave perished horribly, and Agar now seeks fresh recruits to uncover more secrets about the mysterious Star Titan and recover the bodies of his fallen scouts. The Sudisen Peaks and the Emerald Mile. The Sudisen Peaks are one of the most treacherous regions of Galarian, an expanse of lush, verdant mountains that hide a deadly secret. These mountains once served as the final stronghold of the Valashmai Empire. The trees, vines, and flowers here have mutated from their alien magic, with each species becoming deadly horrors. The Mumbalam trees in particular are notorious for their razor-sharp vines that decapitate anyone who ventures too close. The region is also home to Old Ebenclaw, the One-Eyed Hatred, a mythic tiger of unparalleled ferocity who claims the Sudisen Peaks as his hunting ground. Despite the many attempts by great hunters to bring him down, Old Ebenclaw remains undefeated, having even slain the titan Gallifharis after the kaiju claimed his left eye. Stretching across the eastern peaks is also a colossal pillar of crystallized flame called the Emerald Mile. This ancient artifact of the Jade Hegemony still grows, thanks to unspeakably powerful elemental magic, emitting new gemstone growths over time. These gemstones sometimes have a short lifespan, disappearing within weeks as they are absorbed into the surrounding growth, or transform into new elemental monstrosities. The area is dotted with ruined structures from different eras, including farms and research stations from the Hegemony and Valashai ruins as well. Despite the dangers, treasure hunters flock to the region each year to collect the emeralds, though the Raj has officially outlawed the practice due to the high death rate. Guides in nearby villages, like Nagarai Jam, are eager to escort these adventurers, often offering provisions and protection, but even the guides risk their lives in these deadly expeditions. Laha Yusa, ruled by the aforementioned Raha Sultana and situated at the mouth of a major river flowing south from the Sudisen Peaks, is a significant Valash Raj port. It trades extensively with the Renda Pulu kingdoms of the Minatan archipelago. After the capital, Lahuyasa is probably the most significant city in the Raj, and it is a major port, as well as being the southernmost stronghold of the empire.